What if everything you thought you knew about Earth's place in the universe was a lie? What if the stars you gaze at each night were watching back, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? This isn't just another story of survival, it's humanity's final stand against an empire so powerful, it's ruled unchallenged for eons. The year is 2295. Earth is a shadow of its former self, a planet abandoned after a catastrophic alien invasion left humanity scattered across distant colonies. But in the darkest depths of space, whispers of a conspiracy grow louder. A stolen artifact, vital to alien dominance, lies hidden on humanity's fringes. It's more than a relic, it's a weapon, a key, and perhaps humanity's last hope. In this video, we'll take you to the edge of the known universe, where a ragtag team of rebels risks everything to turn the tides. But they're up against more than just alien overlords. Betrayal lurks within, and humanity's will is pushed to the breaking point. How far will they go to reclaim what was taken? How far would you go if the fate of billions rested in your hands? Prepare to be transported to a world where survival isn't just a battle, it's an unrelenting war of wits, courage, and sacrifice. This story follows humanity's transformation from prey to predator as they fight to expose an alien conspiracy that spanned millennia. Theme of survival: from barren wastelands to high-tech starships, humanity clings to hope, navigating perilous alliances and impossible odds. Theme of revenge: the destruction of Earth wasn't just a conquest, it was personal. For the rebels, revenge isn't just justice, it's redemption. Theme of transformation: the journey will force humanity to confront its own flaws. Heroes will rise, fall, and be forged anew in the crucible of interstellar war. We'll delve into the emotional highs of a father's sacrifice, a soldier's redemption, and a scientist's discovery that changes the course of the conflict. The stakes couldn't be higher. If humanity fails, the alien empire's domination will become absolute, extinguishing any chance of freedom. Why stay tuned? Because nothing is as it seems. Twists await that will shake your perception of loyalty, destiny, and the very fabric of the universe itself. From the exhilarating dogfights in space to the harrowing silence of betrayal, this is a tale that will grip your heart and ignite your imagination. The battle for humanity's future has begun. Are you ready to join the fight? The void of space stretched endlessly, a tapestry of stars scattered across the dark abyss. Once, humanity had gazed upon these distant lights with wonder, dreaming of exploration and discovery. Now, they were reminders of all that had been lost, a galaxy too vast to reclaim, too cruel to forgive. The story begins in a corner of the universe far from Earth's ruined cradle. Here, the last remnants of humanity's scattered colonies cling to survival in the shadow of alien dominion. The stars burn cold, casting faint glimmers on metal-clad worlds stripped of life and plundered for resources. Massive orbital stations drift silently, their faint hum of energy betraying their true purpose: to monitor, control, and suppress any spark of rebellion. The air is heavy with despair in this desolate sector of space. The humans who survive here endure beneath the weight of oppression, forced to labor for their alien overlords. Once proud cities have been reduced to factory outposts, where the sound of grinding machines never ceases. The faint tang of burning metal fills the air, mingling with the acrid stench of exhaustion and fear. Overhead, towering drones patrol the skies, their piercing red lights a constant reminder of the unrelenting surveillance. But it isn't just the physical scars that define this world, it's the psychological ones. Every human born in this era knows the stories of Earth's fall, tales whispered in dimly lit corridors when the alien overseers aren't listening. They speak of the day the sky burned, the day an unstoppable armada descended, wielding weapons humanity couldn't begin to comprehend. Earth wasn't just conquered, it was erased, its surface now a barren wasteland shrouded in alien fortifications. The alien empire, known simply as the Dominion, rules with ruthless efficiency. Its ships are sleek and obsidian, slicing through the stars like predators in their prime. Their technology is a fusion of organic and mechanical, pulsating with a life of its own. The Dominion's presence is chilling. Their soldiers, encased in armor that seems to breathe, march silently through human settlements, their faces hidden behind smooth masks that reflect nothing but darkness. And yet, in the midst of this overwhelming oppression, whispers of defiance linger. At the edges of the Dominion's control, on forgotten moons and derelict stations, something stirs. Fragments of humanity's ingenuity remain: old starships retrofitted with stolen alien tech, hidden bunkers where scientists and engineers work in secrecy, and encrypted broadcasts carrying messages of hope. The world feels tense, like a wound ready to burst. The stars themselves seem to flicker with anticipation, as though the universe is holding its breath. The sharp, metallic tang of the air mingles with the faint vibration of distant explosions, signs of skirmishes between human rebels and their alien oppressors. Each battle is a reminder that humanity has not yet surrendered, that even on the edge of extinction, they are willing to fight back. The setting is one of stark contrast: the cold, sterile control of the Dominion and the raw, desperate ingenuity of humanity. Vast alien fortresses loom in the distance, their organic spires twisting unnaturally into the sky, while human settlements remain huddled in the shadows, battered but not broken. The tone is grim, almost suffocating, but there's an undercurrent of defiance, a spark that refuses to be extinguished. This is a world on the brink, where hope is a fragile ember kept alive by sheer will. It's a place where every breath feels like rebellion, and every moment carries the weight of an uncertain future. This is where our story begins, a galaxy overshadowed by the Dominion's tyranny, and humanity teetering on the edge of annihilation. But even in the darkest void, light can emerge, and from the most desperate circumstances, heroes are born. The silence of space was deceptive, a tranquil facade masking the storm about to erupt. Deep within the labyrinth of an abandoned mining station on the edge of Dominion territory, the first spark of rebellion was about to ignite. Here, the cold, stale air carried a charged tension, as though the station itself could sense the weight of the secrets it held. In the dimly lit control room, a holographic display flickered to life, casting eerie shadows across the walls. The image was faint and distorted, but unmistakable: a Dominion cruiser, sleek and menacing, cutting through space toward the station. The rebels had been careful to stay hidden, avoiding patrols and communication lines, but this sight meant one thing: they had been found. The station, once a bustling hub for extracting rare minerals, now served as a sanctuary for humanity's most daring minds. Scientists, engineers, and strategists worked tirelessly here, deciphering stolen alien technology and piecing together fragments of hope. For months, they had focused on one artifact in particular, a shard of alien machinery unlike anything seen before. It pulsed faintly with energy, as though alive, and the rebels believed it held the key to something extraordinary, perhaps even a way to turn the tide of the war. But now, with the Dominion cruiser closing in, the artifact wasn't just a discovery, it was a target. If the Dominion reclaimed it, humanity's best chance of survival would vanish, along with everyone on the station. The stakes were clear: defend the artifact at all costs or lose everything. The tension in the room was palpable. The station's makeshift defense systems were outdated and unreliable, no match for the Dominion's firepower. Still, the rebels scrambled into action. Alarms blared, red lights flashing as evacuation plans were hastily discussed. Yet deep down, everyone knew escape wasn't an option. The Dominion never left survivors. Outside, the faint hum of engines grew louder. The cruiser's sleek silhouette appeared on the horizon, its dark hull glinting ominously against the stars. From its underside, smaller crafts began to detach, their engines roaring to life as they descended toward the station. The Dominion wasn't waiting to negotiate, they were here to annihilate. Inside the station, the rebels faced an impossible decision. Some argued for destroying the artifact, preventing it from falling back into Dominion hands. Others believed they could still find a way to escape, smuggling the artifact to another safe location. The debate grew heated, voices rising in desperation. Every second lost brought the Dominion closer, and with it, the looming shadow of annihilation. The conflict wasn't just external, it was internal, fracturing the fragile unity of the rebel group. Old grievances resurfaced, fear and mistrust bubbling to the surface. Was there a traitor among them? Had someone betrayed their location to the Dominion? The question hung heavily in the air, unspoken but undeniable. As the Dominion forces landed, the station trembled under the first wave of bombardment. The walls shook, dust falling from the ceiling, and the lights flickered ominously. The rebels braced themselves, knowing the true battle was just beginning. They armed themselves with whatever weapons they could find, many cobbled together from salvaged Dominion tech. The sound of boots echoed through the corridors as they took up positions, their breaths shallow, their hearts pounding. The stakes were clear, but the questions loomed larger. What secrets did the artifact truly hold, and why was the Dominion so desperate to retrieve it? Could humanity afford to fight another losing battle, or was there something greater to be gained in the sacrifice? As the Dominion breached the station's outer defenses, the conflict reached a fever pitch. Lives would be lost, alliances tested, and the thin line between survival and extinction stretched to its breaking point. This was more than a battle for the station, it was a battle for humanity's future. The war for the edge of the universe had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. The station shuddered violently as the Dominion's forces breached the outer defenses. The low rumble of explosions resonated through the walls, sending waves of panic rippling through the rebels. But amidst the chaos, something extraordinary happened, something that would change the course of the battle and, perhaps, humanity's fate. In the heart of the station's laboratory, the alien artifact began to glow. Its faint pulses of light, previously sporadic and weak, now surged with intensity, casting a bright, eerie luminescence across the room. The scientists froze, their argument silenced as they watched the artifact come alive. Strange symbols flickered across its surface, patterns shifting in a language no human had ever seen. "What's happening?" someone whispered, their voice trembling with equal parts fear and awe. "It's reacting," another replied, eyes wide. "To what?" "The Dominion?" Before anyone could answer, a piercing, high-pitched sound filled the room, emanating from the artifact. It wasn't just noise, it was a vibration that seemed to resonate in the very marrow of their bones. Lights throughout the station flickered and dimmed as the artifact's energy surged, overpowering the station's failing systems. Screens crackled with static, and machinery sputtered, some shutting down entirely. In the control room, the remaining rebels tried desperately to restore power to the station's defenses. The Dominion soldiers were closing in, their advanced weapons carving through the outer corridors. But the artifact's sudden activation changed everything. One by one, Dominion systems began to fail. Their drones, which had been swarming the station's exterior, froze mid-air before crashing to the ground. Even the Dominion cruiser hovering ominously above the station flickered, its sleek lights dimming briefly before stabilizing. The rebels stared at the monitors in disbelief. "Is it fighting back?" someone muttered, unable to process what they were seeing. But the artifact wasn't done. Its light grew blinding, and the symbols on its surface began to shift more rapidly. Suddenly, a holographic projection burst from the artifact, filling the room with a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Points of light marked Dominion-controlled territories, their spread vast and overwhelming. But there were other points too, smaller, faint, and scattered. Human colonies? Resistance outposts? The map didn't linger long enough for the rebels to discern its full meaning before it disappeared, replaced by a single, ominous message in shifting alien script. The artifact's energy pulsed again, louder this time, and the message translated itself into human language. "Unlock the forbidden. Destroy the tyrant." The rebels exchanged glances, their fear momentarily eclipsed by confusion. Was the artifact communicating? Offering guidance? Or was it some kind of trap, planted by the Dominion to sow chaos and confusion? But there was no time for debate. The artifact's activation had only increased the urgency of their situation. The Dominion forces, though momentarily disrupted, were regrouping. The sound of their boots echoed closer, and the distinctive hum of their weapons sent chills down the rebel spines. The leader of the group, silent until now, stepped forward, their expression grim but resolute. "We don't have a choice," they said, their voice steady despite the chaos. "This artifact is the key to something bigger, something the Dominion fears. That's why they're here. We have to protect it." "But how?" one of the rebels shot back. "We're outgunned, outnumbered, and this thing could be a ticking time bomb." The leader's gaze didn't waver. "If we run, we lose it. If we stay, we might die, but we'll buy humanity a chance. A real chance." They turned to the others. "Get the artifact ready to move. We'll hold the line as long as we can." The group hesitated, torn between survival and duty. But the sound of the Dominion breaching the inner door forced their hand. The artifact's light pulsed one final time, as if urging them forward, as if it knew what was at stake. And so, with the station crumbling around them and the Dominion closing in, the rebels made their choice. They would fight, not just for their survival, but for the future of humanity. The artifact had shown them the stakes, and now there was no turning back. The station was no longer just a sanctuary, it had become a battleground. Dominion forces pushed deeper into its corridors, their methodical advance carving a path of destruction. The walls bore the scorch marks of alien weaponry, and the air was thick with the acrid stench of burnt metal and ozone. Screams and the echoes of battle ricocheted through the station, a grim symphony of chaos. The rebels fought valiantly, using every advantage the station's crumbling infrastructure could offer. Makeshift barricades, ambushes in narrow corridors, and salvaged Dominion tech provided them with fleeting moments of resistance. But the enemy was relentless. Each small victory came at a devastating cost, another life lost, another position abandoned. The artifact, now encased in a hastily constructed containment unit, emitted a steady pulse of energy. Its strange light illuminated the rebels' grim faces as they carried it through the labyrinthine corridors, shielding it with their lives. Every pulse seemed to resonate with the station itself, causing flickers in the Dominion's technology. Their drones malfunctioned, their weapons sputtered unpredictably, and their communications crackled with interference. Yet, the Dominion pressed on, their determination unwavering. In the control room, the tension reached a breaking point. The leader, standing amidst a group of exhausted fighters, barked orders into a failing comm system. "Hold the southern wing at all costs. We need more time to get the artifact to the ship." The response crackled with static, but the message was clear: they were running out of soldiers, out of time, and out of hope. In the midst of the chaos, a sudden explosion rocked the station. The floor buckled, throwing the rebels to the ground. The artifact's containment unit was knocked over, its glowing surface exposed. For a moment, time seemed to freeze as everyone stared at it. Then, with a deafening hum, the artifact emitted a shockwave that rippled through the station. The Dominion soldiers in the vicinity froze mid-step, their armor sparking violently before they collapsed lifelessly to the ground. The rebels were unharmed, but the shockwave came with a cost. Sections of the station began to destabilize, metal groaning as entire walls crumbled under the strain. The artifact's power was both a blessing and a curse, and it was clear the station couldn't endure much more. The leader grabbed the nearest rebel and pointed toward the docking bay. "Get it on the ship. Now! We're out of time." A small team was assembled to escort the artifact, their faces a mix of determination and dread. Every step toward the docking bay felt like an eternity, the weight of their mission pressing heavily on their shoulders. Meanwhile, the Dominion's response escalated. Their cruiser unleashed precision strikes against the station, sending shockwaves through its already fragile structure. Fires erupted in several sections, the heat and smoke choking those unlucky enough to be caught in their path. The rebels' comm channels filled with desperate cries for help, and the leader's orders became increasingly frantic. "Fall back to the ship. We can't hold them here." But the retreat was anything but orderly. The Dominion's forces were closing in from all sides, their dark silhouettes cutting through the smoke and flames like specters of death. The rebels who had stayed behind to cover the artifact's escape were making their last stand. Their sacrifices were not in vain, but each loss weighed heavily on the survivors. The artifact, now aboard the rebel ship, pulsed again. This time, the pulse carried a message, not in words, but in a vivid, shared vision. Those near the artifact saw glimpses of a massive Dominion structure, an artificial world bristling with weaponry and shrouded in darkness. It was a stronghold, a command center, and the source of the Dominion's power. The vision ended abruptly, leaving the rebels shaken but resolute. The ship's engines roared to life as the final group of rebels scrambled aboard, their leader among them. The docking bay's doors began to close, sealing off the station as it continued to collapse. The Dominion soldiers, realizing their prize was escaping, redoubled their efforts. Their cruiser launched an intercept, its weapons locking onto the fleeing ship. The rebel pilots' hands trembled as they navigated the burning station's debris field. "Hold on," they muttered, voice tight with fear. "This is going to be close." The ship surged forward, narrowly avoiding the Dominion's barrage. The station, now little more than a floating wreck, imploded behind them, a massive explosion tearing through the void. For a moment, silence returned to space. But the rebels knew better than to celebrate. The Dominion cruiser was still in pursuit, and the artifact's vision of the Dominion stronghold left them with more questions than answers. The stakes had risen beyond survival. Humanity wasn't just fighting to endure, they were fighting for a chance to strike at the heart of their oppressors. The journey was far from over, and the toll of the battle was already beginning to show. But as the artifact pulsed faintly, its energy seemed to whisper a promise: the fight was only just beginning. The rebel ship hurtled through the void, its engine straining under the relentless pursuit of the Dominion cruiser. Inside, the air was tense, thick with the weight of unspoken fears. The artifact, secured in the heart of the ship, pulsed faintly, its glow dimmed as if conserving its energy. The rebels barely had time to process their escape from the doomed station, but their reprieve was short-lived. A new challenge loomed ahead, a revelation that would shift everything they thought they knew. The Dominion cruiser was closing in, its sleek form gliding through space with terrifying precision. The rebel pilot twisted the controls, navigating the ship through an asteroid field, each maneuver more desperate than the last. As debris scraped against the hull, the artifact flared to life, flooding the cockpit with its eerie light. And then it spoke. The voice was neither male nor female, neither alien nor human. It resonated within their minds, bypassing language and comprehension to speak directly to their thoughts. "You carry the key." The rebels froze. The artifact had never communicated with them like this before. It was no longer just a strange piece of alien technology, it was intelligent. Alive. "What do you mean, the key?" the leader demanded, their voice sharp despite the fear creeping into their tone. The artifact pulsed again, its light forming another holographic projection. This time, it showed a vast structure floating in the depths of space. It was the same image they had glimpsed earlier during their escape, but now it was clearer, more detailed. The structure was immense, dwarfing even the largest Dominion ships. Its surface was a labyrinth of twisting spires and glowing conduits, pulsating with an ominous energy. "The tyrant resides here," the voice continued. "Its power controls the Dominion. Destroy it, and the Empire will fall." The room fell silent. The rebels exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of the revelation settling in. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about striking at the heart of their oppressors, dismantling the very foundation of the Dominion's power. But the thought was as terrifying as it was exhilarating. One of the younger rebels broke the silence. "You're saying we can stop them? All of them? Just by destroying that thing?" The artifact's glow intensified. "Yes. But the path is perilous. The tyrant's core is protected by a sentient defense system. Only the key can breach it." The leader's mind raced. If the artifact was telling the truth, they now held the means to end the Dominion's reign. But the risks were staggering. They were a small band of rebels with limited resources, hunted by a foe far more powerful and advanced. The thought of infiltrating the Dominion's most fortified stronghold bordered on suicidal. As if sensing their hesitation, the artifact revealed more. It projected a map of the galaxy, highlighting a hidden location deep within uncharted space. "Here lies what you need. An ancient weapon, forgotten by the Dominion. With it, you will have the strength to face the tyrant." The rebels stared at the map. The location was far, deep within a nebula known for its treacherous gravitational anomalies and volatile energy storms. Few ships ventured there and fewer returned. But it was their only hope. Their deliberation was cut short by the Dominion cruiser. A direct hit rocked the ship, alarms blaring as systems failed. The pilot yelled over the chaos, "We can't keep running. We have to jump now." The leader made the call. "Set a course for the nebula. If this artifact is right, that's where we need to go." The ship's navigation system, struggling under the damage, locked onto the coordinates. As the Dominion's weapons powered up for another strike, the rebels activated their jump drive. The stars stretched into streaks of light, and the ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving the Dominion cruiser behind. The rebels had crossed a threshold. The artifact's revelation had changed everything. No longer were they simply surviving. They were now on a mission to dismantle the Dominion's tyranny at its core. But the path ahead was fraught with danger, and the stakes had never been higher. As the ship stabilized in the silence of hyperspace, the artifact pulsed once more, its light steady and resolute. The fight wasn't just for humanity's survival anymore, it was for its liberation. There was no turning back now. The nebula loomed before them like a living entity, its swirling tendrils of energy and chaotic storms casting an eerie glow on the rebel ship. The artifact pulsed with increasing intensity, its light guiding them toward the heart of the nebula. Inside, the ancient weapon awaited, a forgotten relic capable of piercing the tyrant's defenses. The Dominion's shadow loomed ever closer, their fleet having tracked the rebels even through hyperspace. This was it, the final confrontation. As the ship navigated through the volatile nebula, turbulence shook its hull, each impact a reminder of how fragile their vessel was. In the cockpit, the pilot's knuckles whitened as they gripped the controls. "We're nearing the coordinates," they said, sweat beading on their forehead. "If this weapon isn't here..." "It's here," the leader cut in sharply, their gaze fixed on the artifact. Its pulsing light had grown steady, its glow filling the room with a sense of urgency. "It has to be." Suddenly, the artifact flared brighter than ever before, projecting a beam of energy that cut through the nebula's dense clouds. The rebels held their breath as the beam revealed an ancient structure, a massive, dormant station, its surface covered in intricate designs that shimmered faintly. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a remnant of a civilization long forgotten. The ship docked cautiously, its landing gear scraping against the station's weathered surface. As the rebels disembarked, the artifact pulsed again, creating a path of light that led deep into the structure. The air inside was cold and stale, the silence broken only by their hesitant footsteps. The wall seemed alive, glowing faintly in response to the artifact's presence. They reached the weapon chamber, a vast hall dominated by a towering device embedded in the floor. It hummed with dormant power, its mechanisms pulsating faintly in sync with the artifact. The leader approached cautiously, placing the artifact into a slot at the center of the weapon. The chamber roared to life, light flooding the room as the ancient device powered up. Before they could react, the Dominion arrived. The tyrant's fleet had emerged from the nebula, their ships descending upon the station with ruthless efficiency. Alarms blared as Dominion soldiers breached the perimeter, their dark forms flooding the ancient halls. The rebels, vastly outnumbered, scrambled into defensive positions, their makeshift weapons no match for the Dominion's advanced firepower. The leader barked orders, rallying their dwindling forces. "Hold the line. We can't let them reach the weapon." But even as they fought valiantly, it became clear that their defenses were faltering. One by one, the rebels fell, their sacrifices buying precious moments for the weapon to activate. In the midst of the chaos, the tyrant's presence became palpable. A massive holographic projection filled the chamber, depicting a being encased in flowing, organic armor. Its voice echoed with chilling authority, a blend of mechanical precision and organic malice. "You are meddling with forces you do not understand," it intoned. "Surrender now, and your suffering will end swiftly." The leader stepped forward, defiant. "You've taken everything from us, our planet, our people, our freedom. We won't stop until the Dominion falls." The tyrant's hologram flickered, its tone sharpening. "Then you will die along with your kind." As the Dominion soldiers closed in, the weapon began to stir. Energy crackled along its surface, and the artifact pulsed in rhythm, seemingly drawing power from the rebels' resolve. The leader realized what needed to be done. "We have to overload it," they said, their voice resolute. "It's the only way to break through the tyrant's defenses." The rebels hesitated. Overloading the weapon would mean sacrificing the station, and likely themselves. But there was no other choice. With grim determination, they worked quickly to redirect the weapon's energy, bypassing safety protocols and locking in the artifact's power. The Dominion forces surged into the chamber, their weapons firing relentlessly. The rebels fought with everything they had, each moment of resistance a testament to their unyielding spirit. As the weapon reached critical mass, its energy began to spiral out of control. The station trembled violently, its walls cracking under the strain. The leader turned to their remaining comrades, their expression a mix of sorrow and pride. "You know what to do. Humanity depends on it." The rebels nodded, retreating to the ship as the leader stayed behind to ensure the weapon's activation. The tyrant's hologram flickered once more, its voice laced with anger. "You will accomplish nothing but your own annihilation." The leader smirked, their hand hovering over the weapon's final control. "Maybe. But we'll take you with us." The weapon unleashed its full power, a blinding surge of energy that consumed the station and pierced through the nebula, striking the heart of the tyrant's fleet. The Dominion ships erupted in flames, their forces obliterated in an instant. The rebel ship barely escaped the blast, the shockwave propelling them into hyperspace. As the station disintegrated, the leader's final act became a symbol of humanity's defiance. The tyrant's hologram flickered and vanished, its control over the Dominion shattered. The galaxy was forever changed. The rebels had won a victory, but the cost was immeasurable. Yet amidst the ashes, hope remained, a spark ignited by those who dared to fight back. The rebel ship drifted silently in the cold void of space, its hull battered and scorched from the battle. Inside, the survivors sat in stunned silence, their breaths shallow and their faces etched with exhaustion. The artifact, now dormant, rested in a containment chamber. Its light had faded completely, leaving only the faint hum of the ship's engines to break the stillness. The destruction of the tyrant's fleet had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Reports trickled in from rebel outposts and hidden colonies. Dominion ships were retreating, their once coordinated movements now erratic and aimless. The tyrant's command had been severed, its influence over its forces shattered. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion's iron grip on the galaxy was weakening. But victory had come at a staggering cost. The station was gone, consumed in the weapon's final, desperate act. Many rebels had fallen, their sacrifices etched into the memory of those who survived. The leader's absence was keenly felt, their final moments a testament to the resilience and defiance of humanity. The pilot broke the silence, their voice hoarse but steady. "We did it," they said, their words carrying a mix of disbelief and triumph. The Dominion, they're falling apart. The others nodded, though their expressions remained somber. The cost of their victory was written in the empty seats around them, in the faces of those who had made it out alive but would carry the scars forever. In the ship's common room, the surviving rebels gathered around a holographic map of the galaxy. Markers indicated the collapse of Dominion strongholds, each one a flicker of hope in a galaxy long overshadowed by oppression. One of the engineers spoke up, their voice quiet but resolute. "This isn't the end. The Dominion's still out there, scattered but dangerous. We need to rebuild, to unite the colonies." The artifact, though dormant, seemed to radiate an unspoken message. Its role in the fight had ended, but its presence was a reminder of what they had achieved and what still lay ahead. It wasn't just a key to victory, it was a symbol of what humanity could accomplish when pushed to the brink. The leader's sacrifice became the cornerstone of their resolve. Their name would be spoken in hushed tones and sung in defiant anthems across the galaxy. The battle they had waged wasn't just about defeating the tyrant, it was about igniting a fire that would burn across the stars. As the ship set a course for the nearest colony, the rebels allowed themselves a moment of reflection. The journey had been harrowing, the losses immeasurable, but they had proven something vital: humanity wasn't just surviving, it was fighting back. Through the ship's viewport, the stars stretched out endlessly, no longer cold and unfeeling, but alive with possibility. For the first time in decades, the rebels dared to dream of a future where the galaxy could be free. And in the silence of the void, the faintest pulse emanated from the artifact, as if to echo their hope. The stars beyond the viewport shimmered with renewed brilliance, their cold indifference replaced by a quiet promise of something more. The rebel ship coasted toward a distant colony, its battered hull a testament to the battle it had survived. Inside, the mood was somber but resolute. The fight was far from over, but for the first time in decades, humanity had struck back. The artifact sat dormant in its containment unit, its once vivid pulses now reduced to a faint, almost imperceptible glow. Its silence was unnerving, yet it held an unspoken weight, as though it had done its part and now awaited humanity's next move. The rebels couldn't help but wonder, was its purpose truly fulfilled, or was this just the beginning of something far greater? In the common room, the survivors gathered around the holographic map of the galaxy. The collapse of Dominion control was spreading faster than they had anticipated. Entire sectors were reporting revolts, Dominion garrisons falling under the weight of disarrayed command. But amidst the good news, a troubling reality lingered. The Dominion was vast, its resources immeasurable. Even without the tyrant's direct control, the remnants of its forces would undoubtedly regroup and retaliate. One of the rebels, a younger soldier whose fire hadn't yet been extinguished by loss, spoke with quiet determination. "This isn't over. We've won a battle, but the war is still out there. If we don't take this moment to unite the colonies, we'll just be trading one kind of chaos for another." The engineer nodded, running a hand over the ship's flickering console. "And we still don't know the full truth about the artifact. Why was it made? Who left it behind? What else is out there?" Their voice trailed off as they stared at the dormant device, its enigmatic glow casting shadows across the room. The pilot, sitting in the corner nursing a wound, added, "We've only scratched the surface. The galaxy's a big place, and the Dominion isn't the only threat. Who knows what other empires or relics are waiting in the dark?" The leader's absence hung heavy in the room, a reminder of the cost of their newfound hope. But their sacrifice had given humanity more than a victory, it had ignited a belief in the impossible. The rebels weren't just fighting for survival anymore, they were fighting for a future, one where humanity could rise from the ashes of its past and reclaim its place among the stars. The holographic map shifted, zooming in on a new sector marked by dense star clusters. One of the colonies had sent a cryptic transmission, its message garbled but unmistakable: "The artifact isn't the only one." The words hung in the air, their implication sending a chill through the room. Was there another weapon? Another piece of the puzzle? Or perhaps an even greater threat waiting to be uncovered? The leader's voice, recorded before their final mission, echoed in their minds: "Humanity's greatest strength is its will to endure. No matter the odds, we fight. Not because we expect to win, but because we must. The future depends on it." As the ship's engines hummed to life, setting a course for the mysterious colony, the rebels knew they were stepping into the unknown once again. The fight against the Dominion had revealed more questions than answers, and the galaxy was far from safe. But amidst the uncertainty, one truth remained: they would face whatever came next together, armed with the knowledge that even the mightiest empires could be brought to their knees. Through the viewport, the stars stretched out endlessly, each one a beacon of possibility. Humanity's story wasn't over, it was just beginning. The artifact's faint glow pulsed once, as if to affirm that sentiment. Somewhere out there, more secrets awaited, more battles to fight, and more mysteries to unravel. A final tease. The camera pans to the edge of the galaxy, where a Dominion outpost, long thought abandoned, suddenly comes to life. Strange symbols light up its surface, mirroring those on the artifact. A dark silhouette steps into view, its form unfamiliar and unsettling. A voice, cold and commanding, echoes through the station: "The key was only the beginning. Prepare the fleet." Back aboard the rebel ship, the comm system crackled with an incoming message from a distant colony: "If you're receiving this, you're not alone." What lies beyond the next star? Will humanity rise to the challenge, or will the galaxy's secrets consume them? If you're curious to see what happens next, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and stay tuned for the next chapter of Alien Conspiracy Unveiled: Humans Fight Back from the Edge of the Universe. The fight for the future has only just begun. Rocket!